Hi, and welcome back to Redesign for Resilience, a workshop to help you transform your business into a business inspired by nature. By now, if you've been following along with the workshop in order, you've spent some time exploring what a business inspired by nature is all about. And as part of that, we've been contrasting with conventional business. And from that, we touched on several reasons why you might want to transform your business into a business inspired by nature. In this short presentation, we'll focus more specifically on some of those reasons. And I encourage you to ponder these reasons along with the many reasons that have inspired you to take this workshop in the first place. For many of us, the org chart is the icon of conventional business, the rigid, top-down controlling hierarchy. But for most of us, it feels more like this. We're lost in this sea of boxes. We're there to fill a box in a chart created by people we will never know and who will never know us. We're there to fill a cubicle, tick boxes, meet KPIs. Conventional business is linear and often one way. It's about maintaining a chain of command or working on the supply chain. But for those of us at the bottom of the org chart, it's more likely to feel more like a ball and chain. Conventional business implicitly and even occasionally explicitly drives and is driven by the self-reinforcing assumptions of competition, scarcity, fear, and greed. Competition assumes or requires real or perceived scarcity. Scarcity invokes fear and or greed. Fear and greed drive competition, which serves to heighten our perception of scarcity, and so on and so forth. These are all interconnected, interdependent drivers. The fundamental and pervasive belief in this cycle is as a basis to conventional business ignites our lizard brain, keeps us wallowing at the base of Maslow's pyramid. And the reason why people use and accept the expression, well, the bottom line is, as the end-all discussion stopper. It prevents us from trusting one another, inhibits openness, creativity, humanity, and love. We talked about hierarchies in nature in the previous video, so we know that hierarchies are a natural organizational structure. However, the rigid top-down chain of command hierarchies that we follow in conventional businesses were born of the military and honed during the Industrial Revolution. They are designed to maximize productivity and efficiency. Workers are cogs in a machine. And like cogs in a machine, we want each worker and each box in the org chart to do exactly and only what their predetermined role is designed to do. Creativity and diversity and humanity are not welcome on an assembly line. A foot soldier is not welcome to change the battle strategy. As we discussed in the Leadership Inspired by Nature presentation, there are times and places where this organizational structure works well and works best, but it is becoming less and less fit for purpose in our changing world. When I was a kid growing up in middle-class America, and that wasn't all that long ago, our house had one phone on the wall, one stereo, and one TV. There were no computers, no cell phones, no internet. That was the norm. In fact, it's not too far off from what was normal for a household the generation before me and even the generation before that. Now, today, well, here you are taking a class online. You probably spend much of your day on, and perhaps absolutely dependent on, a laptop or smartphone and some combination of email, Facebook, Skype, Twitter, YouTube, etc. as part of your daily routine. It's likely that you absolutely depend on the internet, right? What's crazy, at least to me, was that the World Wide Web was invented by this guy here, Tim Berners-Lee, who is still a young guy. I actually met him about a year ago, and he's less than, 10 years older than me? 10 years older than you, perhaps? What's really crazy is that the face of technologies, the fundamental tools and systems we rely on for business, which are now themselves billion-dollar industries, didn't even exist a few decades ago. And the pace of change of these technologies and the businesses that go with them is changing at an increasingly accelerating pace. The results of this rapidly changing technology are more transparency, disruption, unpredictability, things that conventional businesses are ill-equipped to handle. They also mean that by now, half the world have access to the internet. More people have mobile phones than have access to toilets. That is a tremendous impact on the dynamics of the world and on business. People gain access to and share information faster than companies can hide it or cleanse it. It's all in the cloud. Gen Y is demanding different access and tools and work cultures. To them, the internet and smartphones have always been there. It's all they know. So what trend forecasters say is that the world is changing from that of corporate domination, where the big guy or the big corp eats up the little guys, to consumer, where a collection of consumers can now overtake the big guy. From broadcast, where information is controlled by the very few and sent out to the many, to broadband, where everyone has access to information everywhere. And from networks, which are small and controlled, to networked, where all of us are connected via the internet. Although disruptive, we generally think of new technologies as good things for business. It seems, however, that we're having an increasing number and frequency of negative disruptions. For example, the September 11th attacks and other acts of terrorism, the Icelandic volcano eruption, which caused massive disruption in air travel. Perhaps some of you were affected by that. The BP oil rig disaster, the Japanese tsunami, which had global ripple effects, including shutting down a car parts factory in England, which is so far away. Who would have thought, right? And while non-scientists are arguing whether or not global warming is real, we continue to experience the worst: fires, floods, and droughts. 2010 was the hottest year on record ever since records have been kept, with all-time heat records in Asia, followed by the worst flooding ever. A Russian heat wave led to the worst forest fires ever, the worst wheat crop, causing global food price hikes. 13 of the warmest years have occurred in the past 15 years. In addition to resulting in local devastation, climate change has also resulted in volatility and unpredictability worldwide. Two things conventional businesses hate because they are simply unable to handle them. And all of you know about this already. You wouldn't even be taking this course. Environmental destruction. But keep in mind that with the assumptions behind global business, the only limit really to using natural resources is the ability to economically extract them. We try and have protests, we try and have laws, but basically that's, quote, the bottom line. Using conventional approaches, less than 10% of the materials used to manufacture durable goods actually end up in those durable products. That means for every car we drive off the lot, we generate 9 cars worth of waste. This is the Telford Gold Mine in Western Australia, where one of our colleagues, BCI colleagues, Andy Middleton, worked for a stint in his adventure years. There, 99.9997% of what is extracted from the ground was considered waste. And with that horribly devastating approach, they made a $50 million a year profit. That's the bottom line. You've all heard of peak oil, or I'm assuming you have. I am actually shocked at how many people haven't heard of peak oil. And if you haven't, go look it up. But how many of our businesses could survive radical price spikes or extended flow stoppages that are an absolute sure result of hitting or bypassing peak oil? Keep in mind that our food systems are also completely dependent on oil. So no oil means no food. And peak oil isn't the only resource limit that we're approaching. Have you heard of peak phosphorus? I kind of doubt it. I hadn't until relatively recently. Under our current centralized, industrialized agricultural systems that we depend on for feeding our growing population, food production is also completely dependent on phosphorus. Can your company survive radical spikes in food prices or food shortages? These are only 2 examples or very real resource limitations that, if we don't deal with them soon, will cause price increases, price spikes, and nothing short of global chaos. The fact that conventional business philosophies, principles, and practices are no longer fit for purpose is becoming increasingly evident. The 2008 financial crisis, it is both said that everyone saw it coming and no one saw it coming. The flash crash that occurred May 6, 2010, in which the Dow lost 999 points in a single half an hour, and for which there remains no explanation. These have been called black swan events, which refers to events that are rare and unexpected, yet have huge impacts. And yet, ironically, these types of disruptions are becoming both less rare and less unexpected, but no less unpredictable. Tim Berners-Lee, the guy we showed you earlier that invented the internet, he's suggesting that internet connectedness is now at risk of a domino effect. Maybe we're getting too interconnected, too interdependent, and that could possibly explain the cause of the Dow flash crash. We have no clue what else this our increasingly connected world and rapid nonstop technologies can cause. The other result of conventional business is the effect on us, the workforce. The demoralizing, dehumanizing, soul-sucking culture of conventional business is so painfully familiar that we find great solace in shows like The Office or cartoons like Dilbert. No one deserves this kind of work life, not you, not the people in the organizations that you work in and that perhaps you lead. And if you've chosen to take this workshop, I'm guessing that you're also yearning for harmony. Harmony with humanity, harmony with your own spirit, and harmony with nature. And as it stands, conventional business allows for anything but that kind of harmony. Luckily, you have a choice. You can cling to the past, conventional modes of business, or you can transform your business into a business inspired by nature.